today. Cheers.
Cheers.
And there's reason for it. We are discussing a topic which may require a bit of inebriation, I think. Would you marry your cousin?
Is that the topic, or are you asking? I guess you're asking anyway, right?
Yeah, it's topic again we're asking.
Okay.
And, I'm just putting the feelers out there, see how accepted it is. Is it accepted in this day of age?
But let's move on.
And the kind of beer that we're drinking today is a little bit fitting as well. It's called The Poet, and it features a raven on the label, which is an obvious reference to Edgar Allan Poe, who famously married his first cousin. Any reason to drink and talk about?
Oh, Lord.
Cousin boning is fine with me. I am Caleb.
I'm Gordon.
And this is Important Question. And this is a very important question. And I think as we should start off, as we always do, on the count of 3, by saying yes or no, would you marry your own cousin? Are you ready?
Yes.
1, 2, 3.
Yes.
No.
You fooled me.
What?
I thought you were going to say yes. You set up this whole thing about, hey, let's have a few drinks in it. Oh, bait and switch. You're a masturbator and switcher.
Tell me a little bit, Gordon. Why would you not marry your own cousin? Because it seems very logical that you would.
I would, yes, I would. And the reason I would is I'm going to assume for the sake of this episode that we're talking like 1800s, right? This is the old frontier. That's the only way I can justify this. And back in those days, immigrants and whatnot, they congregated together as a family. They had very large families, partly because of mortality rates, or they were Catholic.
And they had a lot of hot cousins.
That could be it. I don't want to...
Maybe.
Maybe,
I don't know.
The historical record... the victor's right, the historical record.
That's right.
And maybe that was just something that got whitewashed out of there. But, family was all you had. And there were advantages to keeping things in the family, so to speak. If you can't keep it in your pants, keep it in the family. You've heard that expression. There were advantages to that, like the lineage, like keeping property and possessions, like dowries and whatnot. They would stay in your family if you married your cousin instead of splitting it with someone from across town.
It seems like it would make sense, though, in that case, to just change the law. Isn't that a simpler solution?
You should be a leader in the 1800s, yeah. Also, maybe you would get along with your in-laws better, right? Because your in-laws are outlaws.
That's true.
And they're part of the, your family tree doesn't really fork that much. So.
That's true.
That's an old Jeff Foxworthy joke, sorry.
You've got to do some forking if you want your family tree to fork, you know what I mean?
Fork you. But why wouldn't you marry your cousin? I never thought I would ask that question before, but why not?
When you look at me, you're thinking that guy probably is going to marry his cousin.
Yes.
So you wouldn't think to ask. I understand. I get it.
But going against
I have
convention.
that look. I think... I don't know. I wouldn't for all of the obvious reasons.
Which are? Let's just get those out of the way.
Okay, let's get those out of the way. The genetic thing, obviously. Okay. There's definitely some birth defect issues to think about. The awkward Thanksgivings, I think, would be
more awkward Thanksgivings?
The more awkward Thanksgivings, yeah. I'd have to be super, super drunk to get through those rather than just kind of sort of drunk to get through those. So those are kind of the big obvious ones, and also just the social stigma associated with it, of course. You don't want to go against social stigma unless, of course, you're truly in love.
Love conquers all. And before we get too far into this, I think it's important that we kind of... there's a lot of confusion about what kind of cousin is what, so I put together this handy little graphic here to help clear that up. Okay, your cousins are the offspring of your aunt and uncle. You share a common set of grandparents. That first generation, your aunts and uncles' kids, are known as first cousins. If your first cousins have kids, those become your first cousins once removed. Now, your parents' cousins are also known as first cousins once removed, and that can be pretty confusing. Me, I've only met mine a few times in my life. Your parents' cousins' children, those are your second cousins. Second cousins share a common set of great-grandparents, not pictured here because I ran out of room, and they've probably been dead for a long time now. Confused yet?
So you can imagine, then, it could be a legitimate excuse to really not know that you were cousins.
Second cousins, yeah. It'd be hard to say you didn't know they were the first cousin unless your family was really segmented.
Yeah.
Start to say segregated. That's a whole different issue. That's another episode.
Oh, man. Can you imagine if in the 1800s you married your black first cousin? Although I guess that would have had to have happened.
It does. Yeah, it has
before you then came to that realization, because if you have a black first cousin, then...
Right. Is it because she's black or because she's your cousin? What's the bigger stigma back then? So, yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
We're all mulattoes at heart, I think is what we're all trying to say.
He meant MELATTOES. mulattoes.
No,
As
I
in
didn't.
music makers.
No, I didn't.
No. Okay.
Yeah. No, I meant the racist one.
Okay.
Yeah. See, so I say I say that it could potentially be accidental, right? To marry marry your cousin. Maybe even if your first cousin, if you just really didn't know your family that well. Mm-hmm. And it's not uncommon, at least it's not that uncommon, I guess, that it's happened in the past. I mean, it's happened to various celebrities. We did some research here to find some celebrities that's happened to. I've been drinking a lot of this this cousin romanticizing juice.
I was going to say, don't let him loose at the family reunion after this episode.
I'm getting too
This
loose.
is a video episode too, by the way, so if you're missing these visuals...
Good.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you've
Right.
made the smarter choice. Yeah, I guess it is important to mention that, I guess, that this is a video episode, which is unique. It's special. We like to create special things around here, which I think is also why we're discussing incest.
The creation of special things.
Very special things.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the result of the birth, maybe. Very special.
Very special. Jesse James.
A hero around these parts. I mean, we're from the Kansas City area, and he's the man, none more famous from Kansas City than Jesse James. He married his first cousin. She was 13 when they got married, but they had lived together for a while before that. It was one of those instances I talked about earlier where the families had kind of lived together, and then she became a part of that. But talk about birth defects. They had twins that were stillborn. They had other children as well, but just saying, throwing that out there.
That's good that they were stillborn, you know? I mean, even...
No, one word. Compound word, stillborn.
Oh.
Death, crib death.
That changes things slightly. Very slightly.
Yeah, I would say so.
FDR.
Yeah? Oh, God. Yeah, that was...
It was a fifth cousin, though, so it wasn't, I mean, and she was super hot, so...
She really loved men, too, from what I hear. Eleanor. Call me.
We've already done a "Would you have sex with a corpse" episode.
Yeah, that's right. And would you want to be president or dictator? You could combine those two episodes.
Yeah, you could have. That's what we get. You combine those two and you get an incest episode.
This is where we've arrived now. The one that comes to my mind always is Jerry Lee Lewis, the ultimate rock and roller, the bad boy, l'enfant terrible, as the French say. He married his cousin, who was 13. Not only was she his cousin, she was the daughter of his bass player, who was his cousin. And... I mean, just it's awful, and she has no resentments about it whatsoever.
Yeah.
But and he was still married at the time when he married her. So I mean,
it was a different time.
I guess the 1950s.
1950s. You just go to the old soda shop, talk to your soda jerk, get a soda.
Yeah. Toss a dime in the jukebox.
Bone your cousin. Have yourself a grand old time at the Hootenanny or the Hoedown, whichever.
Take your pick.
The sock hop. The sock hop often leads to a sack hop.
Yeah, a sack hop, and the kids come from not the sock.
The one that kind of surprised me was H.G. Wells, who married his first cousin. It surprises me because it seems as though he could have simply just gone back in time and realized it was his first cousin, right?
Right, yeah.
Could he have done that? Those are biographies that he wrote.
Maybe he went back in time to find that it was his cousin.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like, you know what?
That's creepy.
It is.
Yeah. He's a creepy individual. Kevin Bacon is one that I found out recently. Kevin Bacon and Kira Sedgwick, his wife of, last I read, it was 23 years.
Yeah, one of the Hollywood success couples.
So, but they are, in fact, 10th cousins, so very, very distant removed.
Wow.
Which is strange, considering the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
My Bacon number's 3, for God's sake.
Wow.
So, yeah, we couldn't even get together, Kevin and I.
Well, there's other reasons why you wouldn't be able to have offspring, or create offspring.
Yeah, that's true. 10th cousin. I mean, how far down the Ancestry.com do you have to go for that?
I'm guessing 10 levels. Yeah, that's probably accurate.
Okay.
Thomas Jefferson, 3rd cousin.
Okay.
Let's see, any other famous people here. Charles Darwin, which is very strange considering his whole survival of the fittest thing.
Yeah. I don't think he knew a lot about gene theory back then and survival of the fittest.
I don't think so either.
Did you know that about 20% of the marriages in the world are first cousin marriages?
Really?
Yeah.
Does that speak primarily to the fact that in a lot of other countries it's just sort of accepted?
Yes, I think that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
In fact, I was looking up some statistics here about the kind of stuff. In America, marrying your first cousin is only illegal in about half of our states. And there are some places that will permit it if one of them is a senior citizen, they have age restrictions, 55, 65, and or if one of the partners is infertile. Most of these prohibitions are based around science and not wanting to reproduce. That's where a lot of it comes in, which is weird if you think about it, because there's a whole lot of, you basically double your risk of child defects with a first cousin. And it gets worse with, brothers and sisters and whatnot. But if that were true, I mean, why don't we do genetic screens instead? Because one of the reasons they do that is if you have two recessive genes together, that's usually what it takes to create a disease, then you're doubling your chances of that. Well, why don't we screen for these diseases? Wouldn't that be more effective than the low percentage chance that you would get from marrying a cousin?
Probably. It's also just probably not very cost effective to do gene screens for everyone.
Yeah, gene screens.
Gene screens.
I like that.
Yeah.
And similarly,
that's what you use to keep genes out of your porch whenever you're trying to. You just got to put some gene screens. You don't want those genes flying in and biting you. Is that what genes do?
You get a couple drinks in this guy, and not only want to, yeah.
Not even a couple. That's what's sad about this. This is a few sips, actually. Would it change, though? We've been hyper focused, I think, on the whole idea of sex and marriage, and sex isn't necessarily a part of marriage. Don't I know it?
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah. But what about if it was a sexless union or a sexless marriage, and
so a regular marriage?
Why everyone would know that it was sexless,
right?
I don't know, but let's just say hypothetically that it is, and people knew that it wasn't, that was sexless, so they're not judging you for that. Does that change things? Would it still be? Would it then be okay?
Yeah, I think so, because it's like marrying someone for a green card almost, or vice versa.
Yeah, or
it can be a utilitarian.
Maybe you really do hit it off, and you truly are like in love with your cousin. I mean, and you just neither one of you. Maybe you both got castrated. We've also done one of those episodes.
Female circumcision. Yeah,
the hottest kind of circumcision. Am I right? Oh, God. That's an awful thing to say, because there's some countries out there that just
hottest kind of circumcision. Don't quit your nightly mole job.
Follow us on Important Pod on Twitter for fun quotes like that.
Yeah, because you're just looking for a lifelong partner, right? And if it's non-sexual, I could understand that.
Yeah, it would just be weird to again that everyone would know that because people are going to assume that there is sex involved, so it's still going to make for that stigma. The stigma's still going to be there, even if it's not technically shouldn't be there. So
yeah,
it's very strange. So what about? I got a couple other whatabouts here. So do we just draw the line at first cousin? Have we already established that? I know
for me, yeah. Once you get past first cousin, it's not even. I mean, your second cousin is so distant, and second cousin and beyond. But also, you talk about the whole gene thing. Nieces and uncles, for example, can't get married. But if you look at like how the genes line up and such, it's no worse than like a first cousin relationship. Yet that's prohibited. So
it's very strange.
Yeah. I'm making way too strong of a case for this.
Yeah,
I only said I would in the interest of arguing with this man, and now I'm like talking myself into it.
I don't think this is hypothetical anymore.
I come from a very large family of cousins. I have no cousins on my dad's side. Oh, one, but he's a guy, and I have 20 or so on my mother's side. 11 of them are females, but and
10 of them have said no so far.
Yeah, so I'm down to you're my only hope. Last one, but I have one of the main reasons that I would not marry my cousin is just the proximity factor. We don't need that anymore. There are tens of millions of eligible females between me geographically and my nearest cousin. So why go down that road?
It's true. It's sort of the counter argument to the idea of a soulmate. I've never really believed in the idea of a soulmate because there's if a soulmate was a real thing, then statistically everyone would be in a terrible marriage.
Yeah, you're never going to meet your soulmate.
You're never going to meet your soulmate.
She's from not even Beijing. She's like from 3 hours outside of Beijing in some town you never heard of.
Yeah, exactly. So you'll never find them, and therefore it makes no sense, like you were saying, to even indulge the cousin pool if there's no chance that person's going to be your soulmate anyway. Should we go on to a sponsor?
We have a sponsor for this episode. We made the Sharango one.
You know what?
Okay.
Please do. I was surprised, but it did come through my email here, so I'll read it off. It's a fitting sponsor. Here we go. Ancestry.com. It's hard to meet the right person for you. Fancy dinners don't work, and meeting her family is always awkward. That's why we developed Ancestry.com, where the fancy dinner is Thanksgiving, and meeting her family isn't a problem. Using patent pen... I can't even keep myself together for this, because it's such a great product.
Yes.
Using patent-pending find-replace technology, we scanned Ancestry.com and replaced all mentions of the term family history site with dating site. Your perfect someone special is closer than you think. You'll be making your own little special ones in no time. Having common interests is important. Having common genes is love.
That's right. Amen.
Wow. What do you say we go to a correction, Gordon?
Yeah, anything to get out of this line of questioning.
Okay, in episode 27, Would You Euthanize Your Own Mother? I actually called my mother to discuss this with her. Well, as it turns out, it wasn't my mother.
Oh, that's bad. If you're going to euthanize someone, you want it to be your own mother.
You would like for it to be. Yeah. So my apologies to whomever got a very angry return phone call from their mother.
Oops.
Yeah. Well, I think that about does it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching/listening. You can find us at Important Pod on Twitter. I am Caleb J. Ross, at Caleb J. Ross, and this is...
At Gordon Highland.
And go to ImportantQuestionPodcast.com if you would like to learn everything there is to know about us and this here podcast. And until next time, remember, no cunnilingus with Cousin Angus.
Cheers.